we work really hard, and it takes a long time. And like the songs, we have no delusions of being particularly sort of gifted. I mean, and I say that meaning like that we just do things and that they're good. Most of the stuff we do is not very good until we work on it for a long time. I do I do think it's our best record, and and it's mostly just because we just will tinker and noodle and keep tweaking and throwing stuff away and starting over until we love the final song till it's just right. The mixing phase for us is also a really uh, major part of the songwriting almost, and shaping what a song is. And in mixing, a song will evolve or devolve in many different ways and completely turn into something very different than what it started as. And a lot of that is because we just put so much stuff onto these songs, and know that in the mixing phase we're going to start carving away and finding the essential elements and trying to throw away the superfluous stuff. But we always break our deadlines, and we won't we if we run out of time and we're not really happy, we'll add more time, and break whatever deadlines and push record release back, because we know that the record will only come out once and only be that record once. The most significant thing is having our own very small studio, half the size of this room, in behind Aaron's house, which allowed us to do what we always do no matter what, is just keep tweaking and throwing away and restarting songs. And but it allowed us to do it in a sort of a practical way, and in a way that just was comfortable and made sense. There are a couple songs on this record where we realized, one song was too fast, and it was like only like 2 or 3 beats per minute too fast, which is could be argued as completely negligible, and but it just felt a little too fast, and it had all kinds of orchestration, and we had flute players and brass and strings had all come in and played on it, and we threw it all away so that we and restarted again and built it from scratch, slightly 3 beats per minute slower. In a normal studio, that would have cost us. We would never be able to do that. That would have cost so much money. So this way, we kind of allowed ourselves. We just know how we work and how we obsess, and we can't really do it unless we're doing it in our own little cheap studio anymore, I think. You can throw away what you thought, your idea of how you're supposed to record a song, or from a technical perspective, from a miking fidelity perspective, from tape versus analog, or analog versus Pro Tools or whatever, digital, and like all these things that are like things that we used to kind of think about and stress, but we didn't know any of the answers. And now we've kind of learned that like none of that really matters. All that matters is just the performance and getting the right vibe and personality for the song, and no matter how many compressors and amps and mics and the knobs are tweaked, it's mostly just the performance. And so we just keep doing the songs until we get just the right personality. This record actually has a lot of reference to Ohio, and sort of us kind of feeling, or I think it's the idea of being of neither place anymore. Not really feeling like New York is really not really feeling like New Yorkers. But no longer feeling like we're like Cincinnati, is home either, really. So I think that's always been a little bit in the energy or the themes of the songs, but yeah, I mean, I would say both of those, when people hearing those things in there, it's definitely a major theme, but I don't think about it. I don't realize it until like usually the song or the record is just finished. Then I sort of get a sense of like, oh, that's obviously what that's all about. I think New York feels like the healthiest place that I've ever lived, for a lot of reasons, and it feels, it goes against sort of cliche, but I think I feel that the people are generally much more warm with each other in New York than say sometimes in Midwestern cities. I think people are a little, in the Midwest, and because you're so isolated in your car and into your job and back and forth in a city so pedestrian and with the subways and everything, you're constantly um, just shoulder to shoulder with people and face to face with people walking down the sidewalk. You just learn to like, it breaks down sort of that shell, that sometimes I think people have, that you develop around you, in that I felt that I had more of that shell in Ohio. Being in a band and we're traveling, we live in a bus together. I think most of my anxiety um, comes from that feeling not having any like sort of quiet, and then I mean the anxiety of just becoming an adult and trying to figure out how to be responsible and how to be good, to your friends and to your loved ones. And then now I become a father, and the anxieties of can I do this? I know I can do it, but can I do it well? Can I be? It's easy to become a father or a husband, but it's not easy to be a really good one. And it's just worried about how to do that and trying to figure it out. Fake Empire was about sort of, it was what it's sort of just like realizing that you're stuck with something that you just it's too depressing to address. And so that was that song was sort of an attempt to go into some sort of fantasy state of mind and pretend that everything's fine with bluebirds and a almost cartoonish um, escape. Um, and it was funny that it was used for uh, a presidential campaign, but it was really mostly the music that was used. The lyrics weren't really used because it's not really pro America by any means. But so that was an avoidance, an escape from the Bush years. I think that song was a reaction to that. And Afraid of Everyone is now that's all shifted. Um, and I'm optimistic that things are going to get better. I know people. It's been very frustrating for a lot of people who are Obama supporters that it's taken so long to get anything moving. But I think what's happened now, it's become so clear at the unbelievable resistance to to forward what I believe is progressive forward development of our society. Um, and things like the healthcare, we made I mean, we passed a significant thing, but it's also almost it's laughably weak as far as a universal health care. It's not universal health care. It's so flawed. But anyway, those are things that just boggle my mind, that we as a modern, in this day and age, that we don't have, that kind of health care, and our education and our just the general the health of our society is not great. So I think we're at a really weird spot, and I think but being an optimist, I think we're at a point where it's going to be the worst. It's going to be crazy for a couple of years, and then something's going to shift dramatically. It's kind of like, I think in the '60s and the civil rights movement stuff, things got really intense and really ugly, right before significant forward change. So that's what I hope we're in the middle of, the darkest before the dawn kind of.